He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of fair Gotham, and welcome to Bat Minute of the Phantasm, the show that goes right for the groin. Wham! I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And here is a co-host who used to always blow smoke, but it's just on the patches these days. It's me, Niall McGowan.
Yeah, you're blowing smoke all day, every day. God damn it.
It's one of my favorite undersung Simpsons jokes is Don Brodka, Lawrence Tierney's character, and that one Christmas episode where he's like, if I wanted smoke blown up my ass, I go home with a pack of cigarettes on a short length of hose. And I always find that line hilarious, and whenever I quote it to people, no one seems to know what I'm talking about. So.
I'll be honest, right? For the first time, probably ever, you've caught me off guard. I didn't remember that line.
I think it was with Bart's reaction in the episode. He just kind of stares at him like, what? I think I was like, that's an amazing joke. What the hell?
Oh, God. But speaking of amazing, we are joined by an amazing guest, a returning guest. We have the one, the only, Lauren Ashley Carter.
Hello. I've got no Simpsons quotes for you. And I have to ask you, Niall, how do you replay these things so that you can memorize them like over, or do they just stick in your head?
Oh, you mean like the Simpsons stuff?
All the quotes. There's so many quotes.
It's a very isolated childhood of just watching all of these things over and over and over again.
So there's repetition.
Yeah.
Hell is repetition, Robbie.
I had VHS like taped off the TV things of The Simpsons that I watched like every day for like the entirety of my childhood. So
so you don't have like some creepy like photographic memory.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
No.
So new content. If you see a new film, it's not like stuck in your head. Okay.
Not at all. Okay. And then I feel weird then because other people, like younger generations of people, will come out of like with quotes from things from a couple of years ago, and I'm like, I saw that when it like opened, and I don't remember that at all. Like, what the hell?
That's called aging. That's getting old. Your brain is failing you.
Although there's like Mask of the Phantasm, because I watched this so much way back when, is like a film I could literally recite on the back of my hand.
And now it's starting to be like that for me because of, well, we'll get into that.
But yes, we are here to talk about minute 61. And the minute starts with a halt to the sexy fun times. And it ends with go in for the gonads.
Like this.
I've got to mention the groin twice.
I mean, like Andrea says, you want to kick nuts? Come on. Let's kick nuts. Although it's weird because I watched that clip. And it's like she's actually kneeing him. It's set up.
It is a knee. It's totally
it's setting up the foot, and then it's the knee that actually does it. It's like,
exactly.
I don't know if that was a deliberate thing where they're like, we misfoot you or whatever.
It's a red herring and a red stiletto.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's genius. It's called a feint. She's looking like she's going to kick, and then the Joker's like, oh my God, no, and isn't ready for the knee.
Although, though, Lauren, because Mask of the Phantasm, thing we're doing this season, is such an acclaimed film, it's regarded as like one of the best Batman movies, if not the best Batman movie. So we're asking the guests what their history with the movie is. And I kind of know what your history of the movie is, but you might as well tell the listeners at home.
So my history of the movie is nada. Because when you approached me about all I saw, I think I was like scrolling through because we message each other a lot, and you'll message me like the Canterbury Tales of messages. And I'm trying like, probably multitasking, doing many things. And I saw Phantasm. So I thought Phantasm. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's one of my favorite films ever. That's amazing. And like, what a pivot. How strange. I guess I haven't really been following what you're doing right now that you're doing Phantasm minute by minute. So then, but I don't like say, I was just like, yeah, I'm so on board. And then as it's getting closer, I am talking to you and you're like, oh, no, it's Batman, the Mask of the Phantasm, and I was like, ooh. But he's like, if you don't want to do it, that's fine, and we could do Phantasm at some point. I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, no, I'll do it. So yeah, I had absolutely no history of this. But then when I went to watch it and saw it was made in 1993, and it's around the time that I was watching many other cartoons of this similar stroke, should I say? Is that a weird thing to say? Like, just the style of it, I guess, the format of it, the very 2D kind of painted, very different from how animation is now. It was a nice throwback, and I was quite excited to watch it. But no, I had no history. I did know, like, Joker history, yes. But the Alfred, though, I was like, who? Oprah. Who is this Alfred? Like, this is Jeeves from, like, I don't know who this is.
Yeah, it's very different to what we're used to in the live action.
Yeah, as I was saying, it's like I've been so used to doing Michael Gough, and I've got Michael Caine waiting in the wings. I'm just ready to burst out at any point. But it's like, no, we got this interim Alfred. Do we have to sort of just generic butler man? It's like, I missed Michael Gough so much. We had 4 whole seasons of him. I miss him already. But
we all miss him. We all do. The whole world.
This Alfred is like Peter Sellers in being there. It's almost like he shouldn't be the butler, or what's the other one? My Man Godfrey. Like, you're not really a butler. You're some rich guy who's like taking a break from life because maybe you lost some money in the stock market and people are after you or something. Yeah. Like, he doesn't strike me as a butler. And the diaper jokes.
Oh, diaper, as he says as well.
Diaper. Oh,
and I remember because we had on...
Does it never end?
We had on Dale Kingsmill for those episodes, and we had a massive talk about diaper. And then...
Diaper.
Didn't know, because I've been going through, like, a lot of these cartoons just to see. You never know, something might pop up. And, watching Justice League, Alfred features in an episode. And at one point, he's like, I've known the Master since he was in diapers. I was like, I said it again! I was messaging Dale, Dale, we have to see this clip.
It's the transatlantic accent. So it was that time when it was a cross between an RP and an American accent, which was really popular. So you wouldn't say nappies, so you were using American vernacular, but you were trying to put on this kind of Queen's English with it.
Yeah.
So this diaper thing came. And my grandmother... may her memory be a blessing, would say diaper. And
really?
She was Appalachian, which is quite fun. So she would also say roof and warsh, but she would also say warsh. Yeah, warsh rag, warsh the clothes.
Okay, that's a new one to me.
Yeah. And then she would also say diaper.
Oh, wow.
Diaper. I mean, at least it is, spelt that way.
That's also, like, the transatlantic accent thing is, like, that's Mark Hamill's big contribution to the Joker, as well as that he made him... I've seen some people go like, why is the Joker English? I was like, it's not English. What? He's transatlantic. He's doing like the old school. He's Katharine Hepburn. He's doing that kind of voice.
Or Cary Grant. They might be the same person.
I suppose though, to like Americans now, like younger people, they might not have heard that. So to them, it might sound like, well, what is it? I guess it's English.
They'd probably think it was a English accent.
Yeah.
Which it kind of is.
The weird thing was that I remember at one point I was watching, a couple of years ago, Gunga Din, which for one thing I thought was called Gunga Din for friggin' my entire life.
Brigadine.
And then...
Brigadine?
Yeah, and then seeing Cary Grant, he came on, he's like, oh, Gunga Din. And I was like, what the hell? He's mispronouncing it. And then I was shocked. It was like, oh, Cary Grant's playing like an English guy. And I put up about it on Facebook, and someone was like, Cary Grant was English.
Cary Grant is very Katharine Hepburn.
But some part of me wonders if Mark Hamill was going for, because the transatlantic accent was a deliberate, like, manufactured accent by stage actors in crossing the Atlantic and stuff. I wonder if he's like, in his mind, he went for that for the Joker because he's had a personality change in becoming the Joker, and so he puts on more of a performative. Yes, it's Joker here, like that kind of voice. Or if he was always like, if you saw him in day-to-day life before, when he was the tall man, as they refer to him in the script, which is a reference, of course, to Phantasm, he might have been like, oh no, he just talked to Cary Grant the whole time, and that was kind of the we'll never know.
And they used to. So transatlantic was called, when I was in university going to conservatory, they would call it stage standard, American stage standard. So it was the standard when you were on stage doing anything that was in a certain kind of time frame, unless you were from a specific city,
So you think,
state.
like, people who went to like stage school with Mark Hamill were like, he was doing that joke. He was doing that friggin' Joker voice back in 1972.
100%. I absolutely think he just was like, you give me $1 million to do this, I pull this shit out of my back pocket. I mean, he is phenomenal, though. I mean, I think even if he wasn't Mark Hamill, I think he's really enjoyable to listen to. He has a lot of fun with it. Yeah. He commits to it.
Yeah. But anyway, minute 61 of
minute 61. So we are back with the Joker, halting, as I said before, his sex party due to the arrival of the Phantasm. Gasp, everybody, gasp. Now, but this is kind of what he wants, though, isn't it? For the Phantasm to come.
He was wanting to, like, I was hoping she was going to interrupt my sex party.
I
wanted to invite her into the robot sex fiendishry that I had pre-planned.
Well, to quote, what we do in the shadows, there's room round the back.
He's like, this is that type of party. I know I killed your father, but come on, that was like 10 years ago.
Wet down your muslin dress and entrez-vous.
I imagine the Joker would be into that kind of a thing because he doesn't have too many boundaries.
No, but he would just off because that's what he always does, doesn't he? He doesn't stick around. He just starts a party and off and leaves a mess for everybody.
There's so much to say that because I know in episodes they have like Harley Quinn throwing herself at him. And like literally in her little negligee going like, oh honey, you want to rev your Harley? And him smacking her out of the way because he's busy planning how to kill Batman. And so like, so is he so kind of like, it's almost like in like in the early seasons of Hannibal where it seems more like, is he just like, he's beyond sexuality. He's more just like, I'm so focused on this guy, not in a sexual way, just in my obsession is Batman. Hannibal Lecter's obsession is Will Graham.
I think I think maybe he's asexual, and we should just celebrate Joker for that.
It could be
ace icon. Yes.
It could be this whole thing.
I mean, he can totally. He can. I think that he absolutely appreciates aesthetic beauty and sexual appeal. But, he just doesn't really need to get off. I found out that is
a term recently, aesthetic attraction.
Yeah.
It's like people who are asexual, but they get attracted to people like in a form.
Yep.
It must be such a...
Well, yeah, like they're usually very attracted to celebrities and things. That's a big thing. And like that, having the poster on the wall and the whole appeal of it. But like if you actually got to the down and dirty, they'd be like, just sing for me.
But much like Hannibal, I could see him doing it if it furthered his goal.
It almost like as if he knew that Andrea Beaumont was Batman's girlfriend, he would have sex with her just to spite Batman. It's the kind of vibe.
Like Hannibal would do.
Did Hannibal do that?
He did that in the show with Caroline de Habermas.
Oh, he did have.
He was going out with her
sex.
just while Will Graham was in the asylum, just to be like, yeah, I'm screwing the girl he fancies because I'm obsessed with Will Graham.
But I bet you that there was a little blue pill involved.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
We all agree on that. Okay.
But yeah, so this is kind of what the Joker wants, I think, right? He wants the Phantasm to come here. And you can't really scare him too much, through coming here, you can confront her. Because, he knows.
Yeah.
You said her.
This is supposed to be the big...
lady.
And that's the thing, though, earlier, Lauren, because when I sent you the minute, I was like, make sure you watch the movie first, because this is a big giveaway. And then earlier today, you were like midway through the movie, and I was like, I can't say anything more about the minute because it's the big reveal. And at one point, you actually were like, I'm assuming it's Andrea Beaumont's father. And I was like, But so when it was, although the thing is, you have a whole story about like how it was revealed to you. Because it wasn't as simple as just sitting and watching the film.
No, I was getting my son ready for his swim lesson. And like at the pivotal reveal, was when he was going absolutely apeshit about this book that he wanted to take, and I was putting his shoes, and his dad was at the door, and blah, blah, blah. So I run, do it. It was probably, so that was like the minute that I have when this was all happening. And I'm like, I couldn't have missed that much, because it was the Joker, and I thought, the Joker's monologuing. I've got time.
He goes off on one for a while.
So I sit back down, and I'm watching it, and like finish it. And I'm like, well, I never found out. Well, what happened? And none of that made sense. What happened? I'm so confused. So then I'm like, well, I have to go back to when the Joker went to the asylum with our laughing man, who was the one who like saved Andrea and her father. And
what the hell are you talking about? That's not in the movie.
No, the guy he was in a hospital.
Oh, Arthur Reed. Oh, that's just a normal hospital. He's just
he just looks insane. Okay.
But the way you said, he saved us. He sold them out to the mob.
Well, he did sell them out to the mob, but he was saying that he saved them, that he was helping them.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And then,
but he did kind of help them in a way, but then told them
that was the thing. He helped them initially, and then sold them out to the mob.
He helped them out of this mortal coil, is what he did.
Right.
Oh.
So I rewound to that part, and then was playing, and then I'm like, oh. And my first thought when it's revealed that is it Andrea or Andrea?
Andrea.
Yeah. That's what I said. Yeah. And then my partner Matt's like, Andrea. And I'm like, we've had this whole thing with Niall, and now he's like, it's Andrea. And I'm like, I swear it was Andrea. And then Batman says
in
Andy.
In proper English, it's Andrea.
Yeah.
And then Batman says Andy. And now I'm all fakakta over here. So anyway, my first thought watching it is, well, how is she so big?
This is the what you can get away with in animation that you can't do anywhere else was where.
But then in other ways they're like, oh yeah, but the Joker puts the acid on the claw and then the claw disintegrates, and I'm like, that's a bit realistic. But you're so big, you're bigger than Batman, and Batman's supposed to be what, 6'2", probably.
Yeah. It's
and
just,
she's like 6'4".
It would be fair enough too if she had just taken off the mask. And she just maintained the body, and it was like, oh, she's wearing padding or whatever.
Yeah,
but it's the fact she like takes it off from the hood, and then underneath the whole body transfixes into like this.
Yeah, it would be like taking the chicken skin off and then finding like a baby sparrow underneath. Like,
I think it's supposed to be that the cape is an illusion, as in it's like a structured. The whole outfit is kind of structured in a way to make her look bigger. Without actually being big. But that's still very confusing.
Definitely. And then it becomes what is the mist? Where does it come from? How are you superhuman? What's all happening? So there's just so many where we're supposed to believe so much and just trust so much.
You could get frustrated too, because it's like, but she had a man's body. And now it's a completely different body. You just lied to us. This wasn't a misdirect.
Stop gendering people.
Well, she had a 6 foot.
She didn't have Andrea's body.
She did not have.
Can we say that?
Yeah.
She didn't have Andrea's body.
And it's not like. Although I know, Lauren, that you have, of course, seen Scream 5. I don't know.
Haven't I?
Yeah. But there's a big thing in that too, where some people knew who the killers were because when spoilers for Scream 5, David Arquette gets like. Actually, I won't say what happens to him, but he gets stabbed like he does in every movie.
Yeah.
The person who does it is revealed like it's one of the killers, and you can tell which killer it is because
the stature.
Yeah, they're about like 4 foot, and a lot of people also had beef with it because they're like, that person could not lift 55-year-old sort of pudgy David Arquette, but they do, and it's like took me out of the movie too much. Which is the same basic print. For some reason, you're going to kind of accept it in animation, where you're like, well, I guess. That's just the way that works. But in Scream 5, you're like, get the hell out of here.
Well, with the animation, though, it's like, I accept so much, but I think the thing that is annoying, and maybe works in their favor, is that I know the origin story about how the Joker got to where he is and how he's got the acid flowers and everything, and Batman and his strength, but for this rando chick that we met in a cemetery, like, where is the fog? How is the fog helping them transport from
I'd like to
dimensions?
believe that the fog is the padding. So when she's releasing fog, like her arm deflates, and then like then her ass deflates, and then like her foot deflates. It's like the Nutty Professor, like Eddie Murphy. Kind of like the body's getting bigger, it's getting smaller, it's going all over the place. That would be good. That'd be a good freakish kind of thing of the end of the phantasm fluctuating in weight because the gas is going everywhere.
But then where do we get the gas back again? Where does it originate from to get more gas?
It's a couple of minutes time. Because I was like,
is it cabbage?
It's most of us like, it's just a thing up her sleeve or whatever. But then there's a point later on where they show like she's unmasked and she's still like phantasming around, and she appears out of the mist again as if she is literally just materialized, and you're like, you don't have to keep up the pretense anymore, lady. But it's also like, is she a ghost? What is this?
Like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to know. Yeah, it's a mystery.
And I mean, is that why her blowout looks so good, even after these fights?
Well, that's always the tragic thing of just like, well, if you're under that sweaty mask and that hood for so long, would you still have those long, luxurious locks?
Absolutely not.
It'd be cake to her head.
Disgust. And her cat eyes as well.
No.
Yeah, her makeup's perfect.
She should have like the Robert Pattinson look of just like sweaty emo haircut.
Yeah. And her like henna dyed red hair just running down her face like Robert Giuliani.
I've seen different James Bonds do that. They'll like get out of water, like out of a pool or out of the sea, and in the cut, like all of a sudden their hair is perfect. It's back to normal. Just boom.
Oh yeah. Well, that was the thing at the time, wasn't it? They'd fix every little hair.
Should mention though, just because I think it's the last time it's mentioned, we do have, of course, the Phantasm appears with us like, Joker, your angel of death awaits.
Say the line, Phantasm.
But I should mention, though, that around this time in the comics, because this is 92, going into 93, of course this comes out Christmas Day of 93, but the big thing that was going on at the time was, of course, Nightfall, which was, Bane breaking Batman's back. But before that, you had the introduction in October of 92 of the character Azrael, who looks a bit similar to the Phantasm. Azrael will go on to take on the mantle of Batman when he has his back broken, and is way too violent, goes too far, which is a bit, you can kind of, is it an influence in Phantasm? Probably not. But
I like that you've brought this up because obviously my comics knowledge is nowhere near yours. It's very limited, and it's more restricted to recent things. So when I played the Arkham... he's in an Arkham game.
In Arkham. He's like a kind of side quest in Arkham City, and then he pops into Arkham Knight in the kind of big bad way. Yeah,
I think it's City. I'm thinking of because I played that more.
He's so 90s that he has that. I don't know if you have ever seen it, Lauren, but you remember in the X-Men cartoon, Mr. Sinister had that weird that cape that was just like strips of material that went way up and then down, and you're like, it's a cape, but it's individual strips of material that aren't connected.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that was just like a 90s comic thing, because Azrael had that too, and you're like, what the hell? Why is that a thing? Like,
you only have to look at the women's outfits in the comic books to go, I don't understand how this material is working. So yes, I can buy that.
And I know they're trying to get better with that, but not a lot has changed. It's slightly better.
But the main reason I brought this up, though, because Azrael may be ever so slight influence, at least on the design of the Phantasm. But specifically, I bring it up because Azrael is an angel in Islam, and he is the Islamic angel of death. So,
that's a good point.
There you go. That's,
okay.
So there you go. Maybe that was a little bit when they were doing the design. They were going through different religions, and there's like, what does the angel of death look like? Oh, Azrael. Oh, that's the guy that's in the comic. Maybe we should tie it. Or maybe they didn't do this. But it was striking me more as Warner Brothers or DC been like, you gotta tie this into that comic that just came out because that's a
Yes. So Joker, I think there's something that is fantastic here. Because he does a little jape. He calls her costume a bit theatrical.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, that's absolutely perfect. It's like, well, I'm crazy, but Jesus, look at you, basically.
Costume's a bit theatrical, but hey.
Well, that's it. I think that's it. Purposeful, isn't it? Yeah.
Genius.
I love too, though, he has a mislead, though. I love that he does, because he does, Joker talks theatrically with his hands, like I'm doing right now, that you can't see, except Lauren can see it, but no one else can see it.
He's doing it. Yeah, it's a bit theatrical. Probably.
I do it all the time while we're recording, my hands are going like David Lynch.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, but he does it like, he wafts his hand back, like, who am I to talk? And then that's a mislead because he instantly drinks it back in for the unexpected punch that he's going for. So it's all a little calculated, but he's like, oh yes, I'm just casually doing, no, I was leading into that the whole time.
Yeah, it's a very WWE kind of move. Like, I can monologue and set up a hit at the same time. I can instead of distracting you with like a pivot, I'm going to distract you with my soliloquy.
He's
And
also
what's
there for ages
interesting
going to
to
the
me-
audience going like, can you smell what Hazel the robot is cooking?
What's interesting to me about that is that he, I said before, it's hard to scare the Joker. But here, I think this shows he actually, for once, is concerned.
So because I knew nothing about this film, I didn't know the Joker was in it.
I think a lot of people, because it wasn't even on the poster.
No.
So a lot of people, we've had on several people this season who were just like, what?
Yeah, I didn't know. I was the same. So then I saw Joker and I was like, fucking Joker's in this. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm so glad the Joker's in this.
Although, yeah, the opposite. I think like, a lot of people in general in society are like Jokered out. So most people come on, they're like, oh, the Joker's in this, come on. But like, I'm because I love him in this movie. So I'm so thankful to hear someone who's like, oh, great that he's here.
Well, I do because, and also it's like, there's a reason the Joker continues to be resurrected is because it's such a full and wonderful character. And I love seeing people's different interpretations of it, different actors, different voice actors. So to be honest, I can't get enough of it because I really... it's almost like this is so weird, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I think it's a very Shakespearean character. I think that...
Oh, no, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's like... I mean, even deeper than Hamlet, I think maybe it's... He is like a Shakespearean clown, who can be festy, like, right? He can be tragic, he can be funny, he can be cruel, he can be... he can be funny and like lighthearted and sometimes. So I like watching all interpretations. So I was quite thrilled to watch it. And then when I saw it was Mark Hamill, I'm like, oh God, I remember when he did. Yeah. So I was quite thrilled to see it. And then actually you can just see in the animation how much fun the animators are having because Batman, right, he's got his mask. He only has so many looks he can do. So unfortunately for Andrea, she's always like the sultry lady, the sly lady. Like, she's never going to have a manic laugh. She's never going to have an ugly face. She's always looking fucking smoking, even when she's going to fucking jump off the side of the Titanic.
Literally smoking.
With the literally smoking. But with the Joker, it was like refreshing in the film to watch these faces that they would pull and the close-ups to the eyes and the gross teeth and the manic laughing. And it was just a nice thing with all the symmetry that was going on in the movie and how flat a lot of it felt to me. Like, sorry, animators, but compared to what we're used to now in like claymation and shit, it was very flat. But then the Joker just springs to life. He feels 3D in this world and even looks 3D with what they could do with him. So I thought it was very refreshing and I was really happy to see him. Even when he was kicking the shit out of Andrea. But I did go, when she's beating his ass in the beginning, I was like, But when he like socked it to her, I'm like, that's more like it. I mean, that's what would happen. And, obviously don't condone violence against women. I've had my own issues with this. But if you come to the fight as the Phantasm and you're poking at the Joker, you got to expect to get some fists back at you.
Well, that was... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so it was believable to me. I'm like, the Joker would... Like, of course he would punch her in the face. Of course. He's insane. He's a horrible f***ing person.
My thing was, though, because he pulls out the old... so we go through his... Like, he does have one great line we went over, like, oh, I gotta hand it to you, sweetheart. You're tougher to kill than a cockroach on steroids. It was a great line.
Incredible.
But also, I just want to point in as well, this is not a reference whatsoever. But it did remind me, and I want to bring it up because I love it as a thing that exists. The reveal of Andrea being the Phantasm and her whole, like, having her dad's body and her dad's voice and then turning into Andrea. it really minded because when we did Batman Forever, I went through the 66 show because, you know, the Riddler. And Riddler's the first episode is about the Riddler. And Jill St. John, the Bond girl from Diamonds Are Forever, Jill St. John.
Yeah.
Married to...
Diamonds Are Forever.
That's the one.
You're welcome.
And she's married to... What's his... Oh, Robert Wagner. She's married to the guy who killed Natalie Wood.
Allegedly.
That's marking back to Chris Walken.
I was going to say Chris Walken. Yeah.
Everything's connected. Yeah. There you go. Chris Walken was on that boat, who also may have been involved.
And the whole thing, Wagner and Walken might have been a thing. That's always the rumor. But,
I've heard
let's just say everyone knew she couldn't swim and nobody.
It's very dodgy. It seems a real it's a good thing that happened in the 60s because I can imagine it wouldn't fly nowadays to just leave that as something's best left unsolved.
On the Walken and Wagner thing, if someone told me Christopher Walken was sleeping with a guy, I'd be like, yeah, of course he is. I reckon Christopher Walken just does whatever.
Oh, totally.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, Walken walked in here right now. I'll be like, okay, that's. If
he wanted a piece, then he's getting it.
Yeah.
But wait a minute. But between these two guys,
Wagner or Walken,
who's the top and who's the bottom?
Oh, that's good.
That I don't know.
So I think Walken
is clearly a verse. He's a switch,
Yeah,
that sounds right. Actually, yeah.
I don't know. I maybe just see. All right. Well, I'm going to get explicits here, so I should probably stop. But I was going to, maybe there was just a bit of. Maybe it was all foreplay.
Wagner strikes me as a man with ego.
Well, right, and I can't imagine Walken with his principles submitting to him specifically.
Power bottom.
That.
Maybe this was the argument on the boat, and Natalie Wood got in the middle of it, and then they accidentally knocked her overboard.
It's like that clip. Get out of the glory hole.
But
again, this is all alleged.
Yes,
allegedly.
But Jill St. John, who may or may not be complicit in this thing because she's married to Robert Wagner. But no, she's because the 60s show, they always had they'd have the villain of the week, and then they'd always have a girl on their arm. Was always the thing. And the Batman would have this thing of foolish girl, she's been misled and all this stuff. Jill St. John was the first one, but the plot line is the Riddler has abducted Robin. Shocker. Robin's been abducted. The boy hostage. And they make a clay mold of his face and then turn that into a mask. And Jill St. John is you see her just in a Robin outfit. She puts on this mask and it's just Burt Ward.
I was going to say, did they get the actress to wear a binder?
No. It goes from her body.
Yeah.
Camera cuts away, cuts back, and then
it's like The Mask with Jim Carrey, where it transforms her.
Yeah. No, I think it's just supposed to be a bog standard mask, and then it's Burt Ward been dubbed with Jill St. John's voice. So the rest of the episode is her going around talking and Burt Ward doing the thing, and then she breaks it, tricks her way into the Batcave by pretending that her voice has been wrecked. And then when it's revealed, she goes "Oh, stop right there!" Batman pulls out a gun, and Batman goes "I was wondering when you were going to do that." And then Burt Ward turns his head and kind of grasps the back of it. The camera cuts away and it's just Jill St. John again. and it's just back to boobs, legs, all that stuff. And you're like, what? But part of me wants to believe that that's kind of partially what influenced the Phantasm. I know that it's not. But that revealed to me.
Maybe it's parallel thinking.
It could be.
That's the new thing now, isn't it? Parallel
I will
thinking.
say, though, for all the people who point out the silliness of the 60 TV show in comparison to the animated series, Andrea turning from the Phantasm into Andrea is as silly to me as Jill St. John turning into Burt Ward.
100%. There is so much silliness in this film.
Yeah. But also kind of weird, because I've been working on my theory that the Phantasm was actually doing a ironic punishment department death spree that we just didn't quite pick up on, because she crushes a guy to death. And you see in the flashback that he was holding her and crushing her as well. My belief is that she was going to, because Sal Valestra, I suggested it in previous episodes, and in editing them, I've been no, it has to be deliberate. The whole smoke thing is because Sal Valestra smokes all the time. It has to be linked to that. And then also, the Joker, I guess, also smoked. Maybe her plan was to come in and throw a giant cigarette butt at his head. And vengeance for Bruce as well. It's that time he nearly wrecked your car door that time.
Yeah.
But I feel that she was holding on because I thought that she was going to come into Sal Valestra and then smoke him to death. And which is what she tries to do to the Joker now. She does the old palm
Right.
thing, and you see the corkscrew design.
Yeah,
Which those animators love, because that's in the Mr. Freeze's gun. Always did this little corkscrew
Well,
thing
people
as well.
keep sticking to that because it comes back in also Disney films all the time, is the corkscrew design. You've got it in Moana. You have the corkscrew. And the green is always, I don't know what it is, but in all these animated films and children's films, this neon green keeps coming back. So they must have tested it with audiences, and that must be the one that people are drawn to. Even Tommyknockers,
Oh,
if you remember that was green, wasn't it?
Oh, I remember Tommyknockers.
Yeah. I don't think Stephen King does. I think he was quite poked out of his mind when he wrote it. But
I thought I was going to go into a whole song. I could talk Tommyknockers.
oh my God, Tommyknockers, minute by minute, you will really torture yourself because it's a lot of walking through woods and staring.
I remember
at things.
watching it when I was a kid, but like fast forwarding to the good stuff.
Yeah.
And then one day it was on like Zone Horror, and I was like, I'm going to watch it. And then I was just like, it's like 2 hours in and nothing's happened. What the hell is
lots
this?
of staring and
Is
walking
this that
and
TV
things.
version?
The Jimmy Smits version, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I only just watched that like I was going to say a couple of years ago. It's probably about 7 years ago now. Jesus. But I enjoyed it. But I've heard from people who've read the book, like, no.
Oh, I think that the book's an incoherent mess as well, because as you said, it's
Yeah,
Stephen
Stephen
King off his
King
head.
was like, I just don't even remember writing the thing.
And then
He's
he
off
had
his head
blown
most
out
of
of-
the time. Let's
And
be
then
honest. That's the standard.
you look at the plot, and it's about like the main female character, Bobby, writes loads of books, and she can't remember doing them, and she's addicted to this thing that she's found that gives her
Which
this
is cocaine.
surges of power, and you're like, could there be a subtext to this as well?
The characters in his books are always him.
Oh no, totally, yeah. And then you got the guy who's like a drunk poet, like Jimmy Smith is a drunk poet.
Everyone's always drunk.
But he's one of these guys who's like, he makes his living as a poet. It's like, I don't think that person exists in real life. But
It's very rare these
like, if you
days.
could be
Very.
you can afford to be a drunk poet. You must be like the greatest poet in the world, quite frankly. But,
And you deserve to be drunk all the time.
yeah, let him
Yeah.
reap the benefits of his hard work.
Absolutely.
If I ever make a living off poetry, I'm going to be drunk 24 hours a day.
But before we get too far into the Tommyknockers woods, and find what's buried underneath. No, because Andre then blows the smoke in Joker's face.
Yeah.
And they did establish that he was a smoker before, so I'm surprised that he's so like, you think it'd be more like he should be able to like snort it all in and be like, you have seen but a fraction of my power. And then,
Well,
but, like,
that's-
They had to end somewhere. I mean, these battles are going on for ages, and holy shit. It's like, when are they going to stop? I mean, they're just beating the out of each other. And so when he's on his knees and I'm like, they're going to die together now. They're going to die peacefully. They're tired. Well, actually, my thoughts were, I thought they were in cahoots at that point.
Really? Oh,
I did.
wow.
Yeah. I thought they're in cahoots together because Batman's like, don't go. She's not listening. He, like you said, Joker's not fighting back. Why is he willingly on his knees for this? And she, like you say, she's not in her Phantasm gear. She is who she is. And then they disappear together. And I thought, right, they're in cahoots and there's going to be a second part to this, whether it's in a film or in the comic series where Phantasm / Andrea and Joker are working together. But no, it cuts to her just being sad on the side of a ship.
Nope. No, that's it. Yeah. That is...
Which is to come. Sorry, spoiler.
But, you know, him kneeling down, we shouldn't be kink shaming. You know, he's into this, clearly. He's willingly submitting. But the smoke, right, I was wondering, is it just smoke? Is it normal smoke, or is there something else in it? Because that reaction seems excessive.
You think she probably should be slipping stuff into the smoke to kind of like mesmerize people or get them a bit like, to make her seem even freakier.
But it just seems like it's a time travel smoke because every time it comes, she's either entering with the smoke or leaving with the smoke.
Yeah.
It's never been that there's smoke and she's still there. She always disappears with it or reappears with it.
Yeah. It's like car smoke.
Yeah, because
Maybe that's what it is. It's exhaust fumes that she's pumping.
The car park scene was the first one where we encounter Phantasm and with the smoke, and that's the whole smoke appear, smoke disappear, smoke appear again, and then he's driving, he's like, "Ugh," and then there's the smoke again. So I do feel like it's a time travel smoke, which is again why I thought they were in cahoots together. But it turns out not so much, and then the Joker just fucks off again, and I'm like, God damn, like just never any closure with the Joker, which I hate, and I also feel is appropriate.
Andrea here with the smoke again. All I could think was, as a gamer, as a dirty, filthy gamer, Mortal Kombat. Because one of the ninjas is called Smoke,
Mortal
and he moves
Kombat.
around like this. He poofs smoke places and disappears. Like,
That would be great though if you had in the middle of their brawl, this like, little guy comes and goes like, and pops out, like,
Oh my god! And he's like, "Oh, wrong place."
yeah.
Oh, they missed a beat with that.
You guys are busy. I'll come back later.
as you can imagine with Smoke, by the way, yet again, it's just another palette swapped ninja. He looks exactly the same.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
Scorpion,
but he's grey.
Yes.
I was going to ask if he was grey.
It's gotta be
It's like,
grey.
It's gotta be grey.
But he's got clouds around him the whole time, like he's farting.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, there were a few of those. There's also
Well, I
the
was going to
palette
say there
swapped.
was, weren't there some that had like storms around them, like lightning and...
That's in 3 onwards. You've got the one with... Is it 3 or is it the extended version of 3? There's one called Rain.
Yeah,
Who's
rain.
purple.
Yes. Yeah.
Get it? Purple, right?
Yeah.
There's Ermac, who is
I think it was
orange.
like Prince playing up and like, what, can I?
Yeah,
can
and
I sue over
they had
this?
their
I
own
feel
little
I
like
should sue over this.
stratospheres, little weather
Yeah.
vanes around them. Yes, and you
then
could call upon them.
there's Noob Saibot.
Noob
Who is
Saibot.
Noob Saibot. That's the name of the Mortal Kombat creators, the two of them flipped.
Oh, geez, that's also my safe word.
Well, you're never going to accidentally say it, let's be honest. And he was invisible.
Yeah.
Like he was a
They
shadow.
could save them so much design work, let me tell you.
Yeah,
And
screw
also,
it.
like, how do you can't f***ing beat that. I mean, really, you can't beat that.
When you're a nerd like me, you can do it.
Well, although at one point Batman fought there was one of those episodes where like we're running out of ideas. The Invisible Man. And he fights that's actually the thing is though, turned out to be a pretty good episode, but within this, but so Joker does this little acid thing, which is one of those things of like, if you know anything about the Joker. Like,
Oh, yeah.
what do you think one of his moves is going to be?
Yeah.
It's going to be the acid flower.
And
So
he
I'm
hasn't done it the whole movie.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like
He's
you're
been
waiting for it.
He's got like two moves: Smilex, acid flower.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. Or it might
Although-
have Smilex coming out of the flower.
And apparently, like, creating little Empire State Buildings in like 10 minutes. I don't know. Like his making abilities in this film.
God. I'm glad to put that down as a note though, because he hits Batman with the Empire State Building. It's almost like the Empire is striking back.
Oh no, don't get him started.
Although
Name
if
of the
you look
episode.
in the next, save it for the next minute, but like Andrea, when she takes off the thing, she's in a black outfit, one black glove, and one hand. It's like, that's like Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, but you see now, you can find anything if you look for it.
But this has to, come on, it's Mark
Okay.
Hamill. Like, Lauren, they have to be doing that deliberately. Like,
No,
I know,
that's impossible.
No, I really don't think. I think, if anything, maybe subconsciously, but I think that you are looking for a cipher that doesn't exist.
okay. Well, I'm going to bring it up to the next guest.
All right,
I'm gonna,
okay,
I'm gonna, if they
Yeah.
agree with me,
No,
I'm gonna
they
show
will
it.
agree with you because that's how people are these days. They just agree with everything.
They think me and Niall have power on this show, so they want to agree with us all.
Exactly.
They're going to get in with big Batman.
No, and you can tell them Lauren Ashley Carter does not agree and thinks that I'm looking for things that don't exist.
Tell you what, though, I don't like his line that leads up to this, personally, where he's like, very cute, but I can blow smoke too, toots. It's like, well, yeah, I know what you mean, right? But you're not blowing smoke, you're spraying a venom.
That should be the lead into him spraying the laughing gas.
yeah.
She should go for the gas, but then it's like, well, how's she going to recover from that? Oh, I guess it'll have to just be the acid, I suppose.
Oh yeah, they should. I think they should have worked on it harder so that she could recover, find a defense from it in some way, because then the line would have worked. And then I mean, the battle lasted forever. Like, she could have easily found a way out of that.
They could have done it
somehow.
before she took the mask off, and the mask just has a
Yeah.
rebreather in it, and that's
Yeah.
how they did it. Phantasm comes in, and the opening line is like, I can blow smoke too.
Right.
And then it happens, and it's like, Smilex gas didn't work. Oh no. And then,
Or what if Batman comes in with her mask and puts it over her head at the last second and saves her?
something like that.
Yeah.
She could have done what they did in World War I for mustard gas. She could have peed on a handkerchief and put it over her face.
Oh, I was going to say, like, clutched her Wagner albums, which is what Hitler did. Didn't really work for him.
It's going to try to pee though. Is it a onesie? the leotard, which you'd have to be like, oh, I have to take off the whole thing, or is it a two-part where you're like, oh no, give me a second, I'll just nip off the trousers.
Have you ever
quickly.
tried going to the toilet when you're wearing an all-in-one outfit? It's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, I have.
Freezing.
Yeah.
Awful. So exposed.
It seems wonderful until you need to go to the bathroom. And you're like, hang on a minute, I'm gonna have to get naked.
Yeah, you do. No, I've kind of gone off them since then.
But
Oh well.
in my headcanon, or my own personal belief, is that when the Joker comes in here to do a shockingly violent pummeling of a female character for a cartoon, it's like, again, this is them going, we can get away with it now on the movies. I kind of wish he came in and was like, this is my Corvette stunner, and punched her in the gut. And then it'll be like, the people got the joke, right? And then John and Lauren both laughed at it. The joke works. There you go. That's all I need to know. And if people don't get the joke, then you go look up Mark Hamill and the word Corvette and see what comes up. So,
and then there's little red Corvette, Prince in Batman. Everything's connected.
Yeah, that was a weird.
Exactly.
I was wondering if that little word Corvette was a callback to Prince, but again, I can't even get the one black glove past you, Lauren. I don't know what.
Corvette. No, I appreciate it. Like, it was a full brawl. It was like straight up. But I mean, this whole film, that when a fight engages, it's going to last 5 minutes. I mean, there's no little, even in the, the feature film, the live action ones that we're used to, fights don't last this long.
I mean,
because I don't think a human could endure the fucking time and the battles that are going on in the animated series.
Yeah. Although it ties in though, because I briefly mentioned to you, like the actual. I don't think we ever really talked about how they actually created the Batman animes. We talked about how they created this movie, but this all comes from Tiny Toons, is where Batman the Animated Series starts, because Steven Spielberg and a guy called like Terry Semel got together. Terry Semel took over as like the CEO of Yahoo years later and stuff. It was weird.
Yahoo.
They're the very same. But the two of them were just like, oh, Warner Brothers is doing nothing with animation. And then Spielberg's just really into old cartoons, so he's like, we should revive this. And so he gets this lady, Gene McCurdy, and they put together a whole team of people, including Bruce Timm, who was background artist guy. Bruce Timm would one of these guys who, like, it's insane. His career is like, he worked in Kmart. He dropped out of college, worked in Kmart for years, answered an ad for Filmation.
Shop.
And then
Kmart. Shop. Kmart.
Worked on like Masters of the Universe and like G.I. Joe, and then just went back to work in Kmart for a while. And then Don Bluth hired him to make The Secret of Nymph, and he's like, "Oh, there we go." Apparently,
he did The Secret of Nymph.
He was one of the animators on it.
What?
He wasn't like and then
I love that movie. What a tragic movie! I watch it all the time.
Oh, that's so depressing. I think I don't watch that one. Don Bluth, I can't do.
Oh my god, I watched it so many times, and like now as an adult, if I watched it, I just sob through the whole thing.
See, I can't. I used to watch An American Tale all the time.
No, too much.
And that now, because I used to, I guess, it's a very personal thing. So my mom used to love it, and now my mom's gone as well. So, but the times I've seen it in recent years, I'm like, I can't. It's too. It's too sad. It's too sad a film. It's just like, why the whole movie is about this mouse suffering. That scene in Community where the singer's like, I have to fast forward this. I can't do the song. I can't do it. But so
loving me and loving me. Shut up.
But yeah, so they all go out of their way to like make Tiny Toons for Steven Spielberg, and then they bring in this guy Alan Burnett.
I mean, Tiny Toons is amazing. My dad called me Elvira. Or was she Elmira?
Elmira.
He called me Elmira because I love Dan. I'm going to hug you and hold you and squeeze you and love you.
Bring it all ties in, Lauren, because people who might remember you from previous seasons know you, of course, were an actress in several films.
Yes.
And several films with Sean Young.
Yeah.
And of course, Sean Young, someone on the show several times because, she was originally hired to be Vicky Vale, got shafted, then lobbied very hard for the role of Catwoman, showing up in the Warner Brothers lot, and showed up to Tim Burton's office, got in the Catwoman outfit, got thrown away. And people are very abusive of Sean Young. And it's actually, as we studied it, it was like, it seems like she's actually in the right, and people have just been dicks to her the whole time. But, No,
she's lovely.
But the thing is, so in Tiny Toons, when they were coming up to the end of production in 1992, they had an episode called The Return of Bat Duck. And in that, Plucky Duck discovers
Yes!
there's going to be a Batman movie.
Right.
He goes then, the whole episode is him going to Tim Burton and lobbying to be Batman.
Oh.
And it's all very much a riff on, and there's so many jokes in it that are very specific to
But there was
1992.
another duck. Was it Darko Duck?
Darkwing Duck.
Darkwing
was
Duck.
Different character altogether. That was
Oh,
Disney.
I apologize. You can, you can scrub me out.
Too
of
many
this.
similar
It's
names.
fine.
But there's a whole thing in that, because it's so specific to 92, there's a bit where they go into the sewers,
Yeah.
and it's the whole Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles riff. There's flies around, and like Plucky slaps one out of the air, and it's Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell. And she's going like, that's what I get for taking small parts. And it's like, ha, ha, ha.
Oh no! Like,
But yeah, Tim Burton features quite a bit in it. They come and Plucky implores him to make him Batman, and eventually he does. And there's a bit where they have a joke about like friggin' Robin Hood runs past, and he's just like, yes, I'm coming to get my merry men, dude. Because it's like a riff on Kevin Costner playing an American guy playing Robin Hood. What?
Okay.
Wasn't that weird and stuff?
I wondered if it was like the Mel Brooks Men in Tights, like.
No, I think it's just having a go at Kevin Costner. Because it's very specific jokes to 92.
That in that time, yeah.
And at the, not at the end, but near the end, Tim Burton's directing, and someone presents him with a tray of kitty litter, and a woman bursts out with brunette woman
Oh,
dressed as
shit.
woman going,
Yeah.
please, Tim, please let me be Catwoman. And he goes like, no, I know what to do to deal with this.
Yeah.
And he like whistles, and Elmira appears, and she's like, I'm gonna love you and kiss you, and starts hugging blatantly Sean Young.
Oh,
And just like, it's so weird because like that's such a specific joke to what was happening then.
Yeah.
And so few people, kids definitely wouldn't have got what the hell that was. It's such a demented sort of reference to make.
I don't
But,
think most adults would. Only a few insiders, right?
yeah, although I think that Sean Young was a bit of a headline fodder.
yeah,
for a while,
yeah,
I think.
definitely. Yeah, with
Yeah.
James
Maybe
Woods
it's
and
to people who were like big movie people. Like, yeah, but my parents, for instance, wouldn't have a goddamn clue.
No, it's
Yeah.
very American, I would say. Hyper specific.
But it's such a weird. It's like, oh, it feels very petty and weird. It's like, oh yeah, there's really. It's like leave the woman alone. But I don't know. Maybe at the time was
Well, at the same time, I guess because there wasn't so much to do, and she was on a few late night programs talking about it, so then it would have been at the highlight of people's minds. But instead of saying, well, and I think that she couldn't really tell people what had really happened because she was trying to protect them. And so she was trying to go about it in her own creative way, which now I think probably would have worked.
Yeah.
But then it was like, it was just not done, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I love her. I think, she has nothing but good intentions, and she's just like the sweetest woman in the entire world. So,
Oh,
it's awful. Like she had her channel on YouTube for a while. It was like Pariah.
Oh.
Sean Young Pariah is what she titled it because she had been felt like that she'd been made to be a pariah
yeah.
by Hollywood.
I love that she's taken that though and like, owned it almost. Like, well, I'm going to call
Yeah.
my goddamn channel that then.
Exactly, yeah. And she was like taking Polaroids at places when people are like, oh, don't take pictures of me, blah. So I almost feel like in so many ways, Sean is so, Mary is how like I affectionately call her and wants to be called, that Mary is so ahead of her time. She went on late night shows like social media people would do all the time now, celebs. Get your name out there, get your face out there, tell the public what's happening, like get them involved, get your fans involved. She was getting fans involved before that was a hot thing to do, and people thought she was weird and like being too personal or selling out secrets. And then she was taking photos, like she had Polaroid cameras, she had all kinds of cameras, and she wasn't doing it to sell. She never sold any of these photos to the media or magazines or newspapers. She was doing it for like a relic for herself to say these are like moments in time that we'll never get back. And she knew how precious they were. And now everybody takes selfies. Everybody takes pictures of everything.
Yeah.
And like, so and
I think
she was scolded for this.
There was one that came out and, since we started the show where it was like the table read for Batman 89. She's like, here I am with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson and all these people. And it's like, there it is. It happened. Like I was there. I read through the script with these guys and stuff. It was a legitimate thing.
And
that was
things
going to
wouldn't
happen.
be I mean, to be honest, like she probably has the most amazing scrapbooks and things and photos. And eventually I'm sure she will give them to the public. And when that happens, I think, it's going to be one of those sad things where people go, oh, wow, Sean Young, like, how incredible, how wonderful, and they'll give her fucking awards for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
I just saw it there just happened with Sinead O'Connor. It was like, now it's like, what
exactly.
a saint, what a saint. It's like, you fucking hated her for like 30 straight years.
Speaking of pariahs, Jesus, she's like, Sinead O'Connor was one of the ultimate pariahs.
But anyway, to finish, the whole reason I brought up Tiny Toons is because that ended production. Went on. Half the crew went on to work on Animaniacs. That was their next focus. So Tiny
amazing.
Toons, a phenomenal show. But Tiny Toons only ran from 1990 to 92. That was as long as it went.
Wow.
It feels like it went on for like ever.
Such an impact on me. Yeah.
Yeah. But then they had half the crew just sitting there in this Warner Brothers animation department, and they're like,
Pinky in the Brain.
They're just like, Batman. And then Gene McCurdy just went into the department and was just like, so we're accepting pitches for a Batman TV show. And so Eric Radomski, who didn't like the comics, he just loved 89, came in with all these amazing background drawings he had done. And Bruce Timm independently came in with all these like character designs and this pitch for how the show should go. And Gene McCurdy was like, hey, you guys should go make that show then. And these are just artists. They don't have any production history. They're like, you're the head producers of the show. And they're like, go get some writers and stuff. And apparently they were just like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? For like ages. And then eventually Alan Burnett from Tiny Toons was also brought in to, they're like, he's your story editor. And they're like, oh, thank God. There's like an adult here who can tell us what to do. And then, they came in as like, get Paul Dini from Tiny Toons. And then all of a sudden, hey, we got a Batman show. So,
wow.
And everything about it too is so weird. But yeah, so I think all we have to do now is the old gonads. The gonads blast with the Joker. Andrea's on the floor, and the Joker's leaning over, and it looks as if she's gonna kick him in the balls, and then she knees him in the balls instead.
Yeah. And I saw that very clearly. I saw the foot, and then I saw the knee go into the groin.
Bam.
And you replayed it over and over. And so you're like...
No, I was interested, though, because I was like, I saw that foot go up, and I thought it was not in range. And then when the knee hit, I was like, oh, that is in range. So actually...
It works.
From perspective, it was perfect.
Yeah.
You know what?
There probably was discussions at the time, people going like... Well, for perspective purposes, like, it should have to lean her foot forward, and then it'll go up. So then have a whole big debate about, like, is that going to take days to animate that? I was like, well, do you want this to look good or not? Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, because where are his balls? Are they in his asshole?
They are now.
That's why he's so crazy. The chemicals drove his balls up his ass.
That would drive anyone up the wall.
Oh. But as the minute has ended, the thing that we are doing this season, Lauren, although you did kind of already delve into this, though, but we're asking guests because BTAS is such a seminal cartoon for generations of people growing up. We're asking people what their other favorite cartoons were back in the day. I don't know if there's any others that you didn't list there previously.
Okay, so...
Oh, no, I've seen now that there is a list has emerged. So I'm like, oh my God.
I do have a list. These are just the things that I could think of. So I have listed a lot of them. And if I don't say something, it's not because I didn't watch it. It's because my dad called me the TV setter when I was growing up because I loved reading books and I loved watching films and TV like any other fucking kid.
Hey.
And also, it was one of the things like, Niall, you said, anything obscure is always welcome. But what I found out from our generation is like, all the things we thought were obscure aren't, and we all watch the same shit. Like, there's not much I can say. There's like one Jim Carrey movie that not many people have seen, which is called High Strung, which wasn't really him being featured in it. It was a Canadian stand-up.
Was it one of those ones where they're like, he's in it for 2 minutes, but then the VHS is like hit plastered all over the front and stuff.
Jim Carrey
I don't know if he was plastered. It was not DVD. This was back on VHS. Oh. This was when I was quite young, and he was deaf. And it was kind of a venue for a stand-up guy, and then Jim Carrey plays death in the film, and it was a very bizarre thing. It must
be so annoying getting killed by Jim Carrey, to be fair.
And the only other person that I've known that had seen it was a Jim Carrey fanatic, who when I met him, I was like, I bet you've not seen this Jim Carrey film. And I was like, it's called High Strung. And then he told me the whole plot. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, you have seen them all. So my list, it was Animaniacs, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Rocko's Modern Life, Rugrats.
All the Rockies, yep.
Hey Arnold. Obviously South Park. Looney Tunes. Tiny Toons. Muppet Babies. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Doug. Real Monsters.
All
Pinky
amazing.
and the Brain. Inspector Gadget. Wild Thornberries.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Tim Curry, well, there you go.
Yeah, and then I'd said, Gumby.
Oh, yes, I
Gumby,
think-
yeah.
I always thought Gumby was more of an American thing. I'd never really come across it as much.
Yeah, Gumby and Popeye. I watched those as well. But yeah, Gumby was one probably from a little age, and then at some point when the more interesting animation, more complicated animation came around, and I was a bit like, ugh, until Tim Burton came around with his stop motion animation. I don't know if I watched any, although we did have the Christmas specials, like the Abominable Snowman,
Yeah.
and the Elf and things like that were claymation and stop motion that I was interested in. But yeah, so that's it. That's it for me that I can remember.
Oh. But yeah, I mean, I'm all noted out for a minute 61.
You're all whatted out?
Well, noted out.
Oh, noted.
What do you think I said?
Yeah, I'm concerned now. What's going on?
No, I'm just in the refractory period of
Oh, no.
that post-minute glow.
This is what those goddamn Animaniacs do to you.
I'm telling
tell ya.
you.
We will head off then into that dark night. Lauren, would you like to tell people where they can find you online, or promote anything, or just tell people what to do?
Yeah. Okay. So you can, I guess the only place you can find me online is Instagram, which is at Lauren Ashley Carter Official. And it is a private account, so you'll have to just not be a weirdo. I don't know.
You'll check everyone out first,
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I haven't been doing any acting as of late because it's just, as you can see, the state of things is not very great for actors, and it hasn't been for a long time. But I do work for the National Trust, which I absolutely love.
Woo.
And I have to say it's a fantastic organization. So if you've got a National Trust property near you, do go and visit, because they're lovely people, do lovely things, and I'm quite happy. Yeah. So, and what else should you do? You should, I don't know, watch more movies that you feel like watching and drink more wine, because it's always a good idea.
I'm literally about to do just that. I haven't cracked it open yet, but it's waiting for me.
Fantastic. Yeah, and just I don't know, take a rest, do what makes you feel calm. How about that?
Yeah. Maybe a bit of meditation,
Yeah, whatever makes you feel calm. It could be meditation. It could be listening to a podcast about coding. I don't know. Whatever you.
Are you slipping that your relaxation technique is a podcast about coding, or is that the?
No, I do I do have a podcast about linguistics and code, which I really love, which is called On Claire, EN space CLAIR. And it's fantastic. She's going to be doing some more. She actually lives in the northwest of England.
Ooh, okay.
And she's fantastic. She does a lot about Shakespeare, Jack the Ripper. So probably a lot of your guests would be interested in the Jack the Ripper one. It's absolutely fascinating. She's so funny. And it's free on lots of places. So yeah, and obviously these guys keep listening to the things they do, but yeah, I don't know. I just
People now are just they revealed who the Phantasm is. Who cares anymore?
Yeah, we're out. It's done.
Movie's over.
No, there's so much more. Who knows? There's more Animaniacs horniness to talk about. Who knows?
Well, if you want to tell us how you're now not going to be listening anymore, or if you want to tell us how horny you are, please go to us on Facebook at the Bat-Minute Listeners Cave, Twitter at Bat-Minute, Instagram the Bat-Minute, which Threads is the same, I think. And I don't know. We'll make an OnlyFans, and you can tell us about your horniness there. And we'll be back next time with a minute 62 of Bat-Minute of the Phantasm.
Next time, Smokey and the Bandit. It's a deadly duel between a ghoul and a fool, with an automated domestic-turned Terminator and a pummeled... Nope. Sorry, I'm going to start over. Punchinello.
Punchinello.
All right. Starting again. Next time, Smokey and the Bandit. It's a deadly duel between a ghoul and a fool, with an automated domestic turned Terminator and a pummeled Punchinello getting taken to school. But just when it seems like a smoke-spewing specter has a sprawled Scaramucci finally beat, could the grasping psycho salvation come in the form of salted meat? The next episode is a load of baloney. Dark Knight devotees, same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Must top, tiefet tabitane.